Okay, this is intended to serve as a review for you in Python in Code HS. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to open up Trinket. And of course, as you work through this review, what I want you to do, you're going to have to flip back and forth on your screen to get the necessary information. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through some basic things. I just want to make sure that you have a basic understanding of Python before we move forward and before you receive this quiz. So go ahead and go to Trinket, and if you haven't accessed Trinket before, you're going to have to basically create an account or log in using your school email. Here's my mouse right here. I'm going to go up here to where my login name is, and I'm going to choose New Trinket, and I'm going to choose the one that says Python 3. So Trinket is known as an IDE, integrated development environment. That's just basically complex language for a software program in which you can code and also run the code to see what happens. Now, the way Python is set up, it always starts with the file name main.py. Okay, py is the extension for Python, and so when you guys are working with in Code HS, the first program that you completed was the first program that everybody completes, regardless of the programming language that you're learning, and it's the Hello World program. And as we know, as you learned in Code HS, you started off by creating a string, which was Hello World. And a string is basically a sequence of characters. Now, notice the way that this is set up. It's set up with the word print. Print just basically is a command that tells Python to display whatever is in parentheses or to run whatever command that you put within the parentheses. Now, in this particular case, you're telling it to display the string hello world. And again, what is a string? A string is a sequence of characters. Now, notice my syntax. When the syntax is the structure of the program, the way it's set up. So the fact that this has quotation marks around what's in parentheses makes this a string. So when I click run, it displays the phrase hello world. So let's break this down. The word print is basically a function that tells Python to perform an action. In this case, it's to display whatever is inside the parentheses. And like I said, hello world, this is a string, and a string is a series of characters that's enclosed in quotes. Now, some common mistakes and how to avoid them. The common mistakes that people make anytime you're doing programming is syntax errors. And what's a syntax error? Again, violating the structure of how you're supposed to create the code. Some examples are forgetting the quotes around the string or mistyping. All of those will result in errors. Some other mistakes. Now, in Trinket automatically save as long as you set it to work in Python, it's going to automatically save it with the .py extension. But a mistake you will make with some IDEs you may forget to put the extension on it, or you may use the wrong extension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change what's in parentheses, and I'm going to say, for example, um, my name is, and you can type this and put your name. Now, I can also do calculations. Print, and for example, I'm going to start off with a quote. I'm going to start off making it a string. Sum of 5 and 3 is, and I'm going to use a comma. So now I'm going to go from a string to calculating integers. So I can put 5 plus 3, and I can run it. So as you can see, it prints my name is John Doe, the string that I had in line 1, and the string 2, um, it prints the string that I have in quotation mark, the sum of 5 and 3 is, and then after that I do a calculation. 5 plus 3 is 8. And again, notice when I did the calculation using integers, and integers are just a whole number, I did not include the parentheses around it. Now, there's also, you can also have, you're the programmer, so you're the one that's coding the program. The person that's running the program is considered the user of the program. So you can get the user involved by prompting the user to input some information into the program. So I'm going to come up here. Well, I'll tell you what, before I talk about that, let's talk about variables. So I'm going to delete that and start over. I'm going to click up right here and I'm going to choose reset because I'm going to reset my Trinket program. And so as you learned in Code HS, is a variable just basically stores information for use later. You think of it as a container or a suitcase or a tote. Okay, for example, around Christmas time, at the end of the Christmas season or the holiday season, what your parents typically more than likely take all your Christmas decorations and they put it in a tote or box or some kind of a storage device uh, in order to use it the next year. Well, a variable works the same way, and a variable basically stores a value. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable, and the variable is going to be called name, and I'm going to assign a value to the variable. And in this particular case, I'm going to use input because I want to prompt the user of the program to enter some information. And I'm going to input parentheses, and in quotation mark, I'm going to enter a string. And now I'm going to tell Python to display the input or the prompt to the user of the program. So I'm going to say print. I'm going to use the word elf. Elf just basically means format. And I'm going to refer to the variable. Actually, I'm going to use curly braces. And then I'm going to run the program. So it prompts the user, what's your name? And I'm going to type the name. And then it comes back with hello, John Doe. Okay? So the way a variable works is you give the variable a name. It has to be in lowercase. And you assign a value to that variable. And in this particular case, I'm telling the user to input their name. And then I'm telling it to print, and I'm using the alpha format, hello, and then display the variable. Okay? So that would be considered interactive greeting. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause this, and on your own, I want you to write a program that prints out good morning, includes your first and last name. Then I want you to write another program that multiplies two numbers and displays the result. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, and then Trinket, go ahead and get that done. All right, go ahead and reset your Trinket, and let's go ahead and continue. And we're going to talk about, again, we're going to focus on variables, okay? And in order to type a variable, what you just learned with the last lesson, type the name, type the name of the variable, excuse me, and the value. So for this particular variable, we're going to assign the value of the string, which is John. And again, this is a string because it's enclosed in quotation marks, whether it's enclosed with single quotes or enclosed with traditional quotation marks. Now, for purposes of this class, let's stick with using the double quotes. So we're going to assign the value of name. We're then going to assign we're going to create a new variable called age, and we're going to assign the variable, excuse me, we don't want this to be a string. We want this to actually be an integer. We're going to assign the integer 30. And again, an integer is a whole number. And we're going to create a new variable called height. The variable name will be height. And we're going to assign a float value of 6.1. And a float is a decimal. And we're going to create a comment. We create a comment with us old school folks call it a pound sign. But I believe you guys call it a hashtag. So we're going to say hashtag height in feet. Hey, Mr. Humes. Good. All right. So this comment, we created the variable height. Let me reiterate. We created the variable height, and we assigned a value, a float value of 6.1. And we created a comment, height in feet, and in parentheses, I have 1.85 meters. Now, just a reminder, anytime you're talking about a comment, the comment basically explains whatever code that you're inputting. Now, when you run the program, uh, when you run the code in your IDE, it's going to ignore your comments. The comments is for whomever the coder is. So I'm now going to come down here and I'm going to tell it to display. And I'm going to create a comment. I'm going to refer to the variable.